Hello, and thanks for joining us for a really special edition of Trojan Talk. I'm really excited for this one. I'm Paige Ray. Joining us today is Dr. Robbyn Taylor and her husband, a familiar face to you. This is Aaron Taylor. We are going to be sharing a love story here today. It's Valentine's Day month, with it being February, and we were interested in hearing your story because we know Troy holds a special place in your heart. So tell me about it. How'd you meet?
So Troy is where we met, not necessarily where we fell in love, but where we met. And actually, Aaron doesn't remember, but I remember vividly.
No clue about when we first met. She has to tell me about when we first met because there's not even an inkling of recollection.
So I did not make an impression on him. However, he made a very big impression. Yeah. So not necessarily a good one, but we actually met for the first time in what is now your office. And so I think that our TV production coordinator at the time, so this was back when we were undergrads and we were both studying broadcast journalism here. It was my first time taking a camera out, and another young woman and I were going out on our first time. So I think that the TV production coordinator was afraid we were going to break the equipment. Oh, no. So he said, "Aaron, what are you doing? Why don't you go with these ladies?" And it was a story about SGA. I don't even know what it was about. I think it was just very simple. And we go out and we start getting things ready, and he starts yelling.
He does?
He does. He starts yelling. And
yelling, here's the yelling,
I will get to it.
Right.
I will redeem you in a minute.
Right.
So to my very young, freshman, early, I was 19 at the time, something like that, maybe sophomore. I was yelling. So my mom asked me, "How did your first story go?" And I said, "It was good, but there was this mean boy at the TV station, and he was yelling at me the whole time." And I said, I'm gonna not go back until he graduates. And she said, "You can't let a man stand in the way of your career." So I picked myself up, I came back. And
he's ready. He's ready to tell his side.
And I realized he was not yelling at me, he just didn't have an inside voice. So that's his level all the time. All the time, that was his level.
But the thing is, I understand that. I don't have an inside voice. I still don't. For everybody that knows me and met me, I'm loud. I'm at times obnoxious. But and she'd admit to that too. But that's the thing. Even though I don't remember that first meeting, it's ingrained. That's how powerful this was. Just I was able to make that impression, even when I wasn't even trying. Come on. But that little grain, we became friends through the rest of our time at Troy. Even though that moment, she came back. She eventually did come back, folks, okay? And she started working at the TV station, and then her and I, we graduated, and we both worked in Montgomery for our first job. She was at Channel 12, I was at Channel 8. We still maintained contact. We still, over the years, we never dated though. That was the thing. This you're talking about love stories, but it's they fell in love at Troy. No, we didn't fall in love at Troy, but it started our relationship that we kept for years, and it was almost 13 years maybe, 14 years before I ever asked her out on a date. But the moons aligned at the right moment, and it was this moment where we knew that we were meant to be together. And so, but Troy's a major part of our lives, our relationship. We both work at Troy, but it was what started our relationship, this friendship, that carried over into more than that. And of course, isn't that what everybody wants? You want to marry your best friend, and that's what I did, And so that's that Troy relationship is why. So even though I scared her, even though I yelled at her, even though everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, he scared her," but the thing was is that relationship blossomed, and Troy is a part of it, and all the elements of people we knew when we were in school together are still all parts of our lives. Even the fact that my roommate and a good friend of ours was there the night that her water broke when our kid was born. So we were at dinner. So that's a story for another time. But those relationships still hold to today.
And we had Troy folks that we had met at Troy, even here at TrojanVision, in our wedding. So those relationships that we made have lasted into adulthood, into now. And so it's nice to be able to kind of be spending your time with someone who has known you throughout all kinds of transitions and changes and still chooses to love you.
Yes, of course. It's hard. It's hard not to love this one right here. I mean, she's amazing. But also the fact that it's always cute to people think about that we work in the same building together. I mean, she's the director of Hall School of Journalism. I'm the TV manager. We even though it's in separate departments, we both work in the same building. We were across the lobby from each other. So when our son Brooks was born, and he becomes like the Wallace Hall kid because he just kind of wanders around and goes between her office and my office, and he is developing this love for Troy as well, and so it's all part of being in the Troy family. This relationship is there, and it's like all started from this one little meeting in what used to be my office, but now is your office. So,
well, I know I can speak for really everybody who works in this department. You two are like the dynamic duo. You are couple goals, #couple goals for sure. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your love story with us. It's really sweet.
Thank you for asking us.
Oh, thank you. Love you, baby.
I love you.
Oh, okay. And thank you for joining us on this edition of Trojan Talk.